time. I want to get you back to this hearing. Senate Judiciary, that's Lindsey Graham, the senator from South Carolina, and the Attorney General Pam Bondi. They're talking about Crossfire Hurricane.
You wonder why we're looking at Comey? Give me a break. Why are we looking at Comey? Because he ran an FBI and personally knew about exculpatory information and let it slide. How in the hell can two FBI agents interview a man who says the document you're using against a sitting president to suggest he may be a Russian agent or Carter Page that is now no longer reliable? How does that not get to the court? Can you tell me how that doesn't get to the court? You can't, can you?
I can't, Senator, and I
Can
can't.
you tell me why my phone records, when I'm the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, were sought by the Jack Smith agents? Why did they ask to know who I called and what I was doing from January 4th to the 7th? Can you tell me that?
No, Senator, and there were 8 senators in total.
Yeah. Do you think that was an abuse of power?
Senator, I cannot discuss whether there is or is not an ongoing investigation. If I may add one thing, they also wasted $50 million on what you just described, trying to put President Trump in jail prior to the election.
Before Senator Whitehouse, I want to introduce into the record what is called the Durham Annex. The Annex is a declassified appendix to John Durham's report about Crossfire Hurricane. The Durham Annex contains information exposing a reported Clinton campaign plan to falsify and tie President Trump to Russia. For years, I've fought to assemble and publicize all the facts surrounding Durham investigation, Crossfire Hurricane, and related matters. The Durham Annex was declassified as a large part because of Attorney General Bondi.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah,
may I ask you a question?
if I can answer it, yes. Go
Thank you,
ahead.
Mr. Chairman. Are you going to hold a separate hearing on your whistleblower account of the FBI investigation of 8 United States senators?
I think we need, my answer to your question is, I think we need to wait until we see what the FBI can report and whether it's necessary to have a hearing. Right now, I haven't ruled one out, but I haven't made a decision.
And what year do you think that will happen in?
I want the FBI to be a thorough investigation of it and report to us what information they can give us, and I don't know how long that'll take them.
With respect, are you giving them a certain period of time?
I have not given them a certain period of time. I'll discuss that matter with my staff and see if that needs to be done.
Okay, if civil suits are filed against the perpetrators at the FBI, will that facilitate your investigation?
Well, what's the question again?
If the 8 senators who were spied upon sue the hell out of the Department of Justice and the perpetrators involved, will that facilitate their investigation and or yours? I guess what I'm getting to is I don't understand why we don't have a separate hearing. I find this breathtaking.
Yeah. It's just been 24 hours since the FBI investigated on it. Please give me an opportunity to sort through all this.
Fair enough. I just don't want to wait 24 years to get an answer.
Yeah. We do have an active investigation going on
Okay,
through
so the Senate Judiciary Committee continues. So what they were just talking about is this story that broke last night that I believe it was a total of 8 senators and 1 congressman were targeted by the Justice Department and their phone calls were tracked. This was approved by a grand jury, but we don't know the underlying features. And Senator Kennedy was just asking Senator Grassley, are we going to have a hearing? When is that going to be? And he wants a separate one away from this one. Grassley is considering that at this time.
So all these lawmakers are Republicans, 8 senators, 1 member of the House, and one of those senators with us now. Josh Hawley, Republican from Missouri, Senate Judiciary Committee member, just stepped out of that hearing. What did you hear from Dan Bongino and the FBI last night on this?
Well, what I know, Bill, is that they targeted the DOJ, the Biden DOJ specifically targeted a group of us. They asked for our call records so they could see who we talked to, who called us. I believe also track our location over a period of days. This is outrageous. I mean, this is really unbelievable. It's blatantly unconstitutional. It's a violation of the First Amendment. It's a violation of the separation of powers. And it also goes to show you the extent to which the Biden administration was so corrupt, using the FBI to target their political enemies. And let's not forget, they didn't just do it to senators. They did it to school board parents who went and spoke up at those school board meetings. They did it to 92 conservative organizations, including Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA. They tried to recruit spies into Catholic parishes. That's the kind of people we're dealing with here. Bill, we need a total investigation, a thorough investigation into everybody who was responsible, and I think there needs to be prosecutions.
Okay, so here's Kash Patel, FBI director on X. This is his statement. Number 2, guys, we recently uncovered proof that phone records of U.S. lawmakers were seized for political purposes. That abuse of power ends now. Under my leadership, the FBI will deliver truth and accountability and never again be weaponized against the American people. Senator, what were they looking for?
Good question. I mean, who knows? This was done years after the fact, by the way. This is back in 2023 when they go and start this fishing expedition. I tell you what it looks like to me, Bill. It looks like targeting political enemies. You talk about an enemies list. I mean, this would make Richard Nixon blush. I mean, this is unbelievable what Joe Biden did. He targeted the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, when he was a private citizen. He targeted 8 Republican senators. He targeted almost 100 conservative organizations. He targeted parents who go to meetings. He targeted anybody who was in Washington, D.C. on January 6th exercising their First Amendment rights. I mean, I could just go on and on. He targeted pro-lifers who peacefully protested outside abortion clinics. This was the most out-of-control administration, the most corrupt administration when it comes to abuse of the Constitution in our history. And Bill, we've got to have an investigation that turns over the facts of everybody who was involved in this, who signed off on this stuff, who knew about it. We need to know.
Jack Smith was running the show there, right?
That's
and
correct.
The reason why the investigation ended is because Donald Trump won the election.
That's correct.
If he loses that election, maybe this investigation continues. Where was it going, do you think? Did they think that there was some January 6th deal that needed to be looked at with a closer eye?
Oh, I think what it was is plainly an attempt to target Donald Trump. I think it all goes back to the fact they wanted to keep Trump off the ballot. Joe Biden, remember, directed the Attorney General at the time, Merrick Garland, to start investigating Trump. And this is what they did. They got a special prosecutor whose sole responsibility, his sole remit, was to go after Trump and anybody associated with Trump, anybody who was standing up to Biden. I think they wanted to keep Trump off the ballot. That failed. Then they wanted to prevent him from winning the election. That failed. They wanted to target anybody who was speaking up against Biden. That failed. But here we are, Bill. I mean, this is an incredible abuse of the FBI, which is the most powerful law enforcement agency in the world. And listen, if it can happen to members of Congress, it can happen to anybody. And we know it did. We know that they targeted ordinary citizens, pro-lifers, these 92 conservative organizations. We've got to make sure this never happens.
Okay, sir. Thank you. I'll let you get back in the hearing. Thanks for
you.
stepping out. We'll run this story down when we can.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.